Welcome back here, another tutorial, and we're actually going to be building an object entirely in Neos today. It's another request from Kume. Thank you so much for the questions today. They came into Neos and had quite a few questions, and I was showing them how to do various things. They have their own models, and they're making a cool project with them, but we're going to be making an object similar to their models entirely in-game, just showing you building something from end to end. Let's go ahead and take a look. So I've done, I think, a chest. I also did the pea bag before. I'll link those in the video description. But what they wanted was a chest which sort of just opened vertically, as in when they clicked the top of it, they actually had a sort of crystal on top of it. When they clicked it, they wanted the top to sort of pop up, and then there to be a contents inside that they can grab. Now, of course, the contents of this chest happens to be some cheese, but that's what we're going to be building today. Entirely in Neos, no outside Neos stuff, unless you, of course, count the picture of cheese, but you can just use whatever you want to put inside the chest at the end. Let's go ahead and get started. So I'm over here into Smooth POV, which I'm already in, which is great. First thing I'm going to do is find the shape tip, which I lost, apparently. So the shape tip is a tip which I don't use that much. I prefer to do it manually, but it is nice and quick to do it this way. You can find it in Essential Tools. It's this square at the end here, on the top row here, shape tip. So we're going to double click that, which spawns it in the WOD. Let me turn off Private UI because we're done with that. I'm going to go ahead and equip it. The shape tip lets you make shapes in the world. And so we're going to be using a cylinder today, just because the cylinder makes it nice and easy to make a an object that has an inside. If you wanted to make a sort of cube, it would be a bit more difficult. Cylinder is nice and easy to do it, and I'll show you how to do that with a cylinder. Feel free to use other shapes, but it probably won't look as distinctive as we're going to end up at the end of the video. So with the shape tip equipped, I'm going to go ahead and push secondary a few times till I get to the cylinder. Secondary just goes through the shapes. So we need the cylinder, and I'm going to just go ahead and drag. I'll make it bigger actually than the one that I have over there. That way you can store more cheese, which is always a good thing. So there's our main cylinder. So I'm going to go ahead and de-equip the shape tip. We don't need that anymore. And I'm going to go ahead and start editing this cylinder. This cylinder is going to be the walls of our chest here. I'm sure you really need to call it a chest, like a pot or something. I'm not really sure. We'll go for chest. But what we need to do is we need to first of all remove the top and the bottom. So you'll see right now that the bottom is opaque, as is the top. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead with my developer tooltip and hit secondary, which will select it. With it selected, I'm going to go ahead and open the inspector. You'll see here that we have a cylinder. I'm going to go ahead and remove this material. You'll see why in just a moment. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to the grabbable. I'm going to remove that as well. And on the cylinder mesh here, I'm going to uncheck caps. And what this is going to do is make it look a little bit weird. So if we go around it, you'll see that it has an outside but not an inside. We'll be fixing that exactly right now. What we're going to go ahead and do is go to with our developer tip equipped. You can also do this with material tooltip. I just find it's easier sometimes to do it with a developer tip. We're going to go to create new materials, PBS, and then PBS dual-sided. I'll bring that a little bit closer so you can see it. PBS dual-sided metallic. We'll leave it with the default settings. So here it is. I'm going to grab this with my right hand, and then with my left hand, just click in the one that material is. And now you'll see what we've got is a tube, which we can look inside. So that'll become the walls of our cylinder. So what I'm actually going to do is name it that. So I'm going to go ahead and name it that. I can't stress enough, name stuff as you go, and it'll be a lot clearer later what you're looking at. So with walls created, I'm going to go ahead and hit this up arrow here. Now I go over all of the buttons at the top of here in my inspector overview, but just know that the up arrow will create a slot above walls that steals the transform. So if I look right now, this walls object is at -5, 4, 10. If I hit up, you see we now get walls parent, which is at -5, 4, 10. And beneath that is walls, which has what's called an identity transform, as in 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Which is actually perfect. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and duplicate walls, which will create a second cylinder, and we're going to rename this to base, which will be the floor of our chest. Here's base. And what I'm going to do is change the height of the cylinder, not the radius, just the height. I'm going to drop that height down to something like 0.01, so 0.01. And now if you look in our cylinder, actually we haven't got that yet because we need to turn back on the caps. So we've turned back on the caps here. You'll now see that we've got a sort of stopper in the middle of our cylinder. So I'm going to go ahead and move that base down until it's at the bottom of our cylinder there. And now we've got a floor. So it's beginning to look like that shape over there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate base. And we're going to rename it lid. So here's lid. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure lid's selected. Yep. And drag lid all the way up to the top so it's on the top. And now we've got our lid. So if I hop into NoClip for just a moment and poke my head inside, you'll now see we've got like quite a cozy room to store all our cheese in. So let me hop back over into Walk here. And I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the lid one more time. So we'll duplicate it. And I'm going to go ahead and parent a lid to lid by dragging it. So lid is parented to lid. And I'm going to rename the second lid inside here to button. Now I'm going to keep this button quite simple, and so what we're going to do here is just change the radius here, and this time not the height, the radius, down to, let's say 0.1 again. It looks like that's a bit too small. Let's go ahead and go 0.5. That looks better. 0.5. And I'm going to pull that button object out of the top, and you'll see it's there, and it's deselect all. You see it's there on the top here. I'm going to change its color just like I did over there. The way I'm going to do that is by creating a new material. This one doesn't have to be dual-sided, so I'm going to go to Create New, Materials, PBS Metallic. I'm going to go ahead and change it to red. Feel free to use any material, any colors you like. You can make whatever you like here. So here's my red material. I'm going to grab it with my right hand, with the left hand click. There we go. And now I've got a nice red button on the top. It reminds me of a cake from the UK called a cherry bakewell. Cherry bakewells are great. I haven't been able to find them in the US yet. I live in the US, by the way. Some people think that I live in the United Kingdom. I live in the US right now. So I'm going to go ahead and add a button component to this. Now, like I said, I'm keeping this very simple for this tutorial. You could do it with a physical button or anything else like that. You can even do it with colliders, although that might be a bit overkill. We're going to be doing it with a touch toggle today, because that'll just keep things nice and simple, keeps the logic simple, makes the functionality still exist. So I'll link some videos below for alternative button types. You can pretty much replace them out exactly as this. Although with the other button types, you'll need to use the button events node. I'll also link to the video on that. So this is a lot simpler overall. We'll go ahead and go to Attach Component, Transform, Interaction, and then Touch Toggle. And we're actually done with the button now. The button will work. It won't make the lid rise, but it'll actually function as a button. So you'll see here that state is currently set to off, and that means that the box should be closed, or the chest. When I hit it, you'll see it turns to on, and that means that the chest or the box should open up. We'll call it a chest. So all we need to do now is fire up some LogiX, which will make that lid rise up like it does over there. So we're going to go ahead and grab our LogiX tip here. And we're going to go ahead and grab out the touch toggle component. To do this, we need to make sure that our LogiX tip is first of all in extract interface mode. And then we're going to go up to the touch toggle, grab touch toggle so that we see touch toggle above us in blue. We're going to turn to some free space on the right here and hit secondary, and you'll see that we get touch toggle. Let's move this material out of the way a little bit. Just grab these. I'm going to put them over here for safekeeping. There we go. So now you'll see that touch toggle has an interface spawn. This is called a LogiX interface. And we're going to go ahead and wire some stuff up to this state property. The state property is exactly the same as the state property in the touch toggle here. So it's on or off depending on if we last pushed it or something, or not even. So we're going to use some nodes here to make it so that when the state property here is true, that the lid should be high, and when it's off, the lid should be low, or exactly where it is right now. Let's go ahead and get that sorted. So we're going to need a few nodes, and I'll go through each one as we go. We're going to go to the node browser here, and we're going to need operators, and then we're going to need question::, also known as ternary. I have a video on this one, so that's in the video description too. Oh, whoops, actually did a few things there I didn't mean to do. I'll just do it again. So I'm double clicking here on the ternary, and I'm double clicking to spawn it in the world. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect state to the bottom here, the gray input here, same colors connect usually. So I'm going to put the tip of that tool into here and drop it onto the condition at the bottom here. LogiX has changed recently, which will allow me to just drag ribbons around like this. I'm not going to be re-recording all of my old tutorials to cover that, so you can also do that way. So here I'm just aiming my laser at it and clicking, and then I can link stuff up. Whichever way works for you. That'll be covered more in my beginner LogiX tutorial series when I get round to that one. One of the reasons I haven't been doing that is because LogiX is a little bit subject to change, and that's one of the things that recently changed. So whichever floats your boat, I'll be doing the older way, just simply because that's what I'm used to. If that becomes a problem, do let me know in the comments. So with this question mark colon, what this is going to do is it's going to output the top value when this is true and the bottom value when this is false. So for the bottom value, also known as when it's closed, we want the value that it's at right now. So we're going to pull a ribbon out and we're going to hit secondary, which allows us to add a value here. This value needs to be the y value of the lid object as it currently is. So on the left here, I'm going to select lid. Let me just bring this through the wires so you can see it a bit better. I'm going to scroll up to the top here, and you'll see that the lid value is currently in the y-axis. Just in the y-axis, it's 0183. So I'm going to go ahead, grab 0183, and drop it to where it says 0. And now you'll see that that is 0183. Now I'm going to set the value when it's open. Now I'm just going to guess at this. I'm just going to say, hey, 0.5, which is sort of 5 times what it is currently. Well, not 5, but 4 times really. Whatever. It's a lot taller, higher than it would be when it's shut. So now when I pull out a display node from the output of question mark colon and hit secondary, you can see that we're currently at 0.5, and that's because I clicked it and it's on. If I click it again, you'll see we're at 0183 again. So now what we need to do is smooth this value so that it opens and closes smoothly. We're going to be using a node called SmoothLerp for this. You can find that node inside Math. SmoothLerp. SmoothLerp takes a target value and then a speed to go there. So we're going to plug the output of the question mark colon into the input of SmoothLerp, and then the second value is the speed. So we're going to pull out a ribbon and hit secondary. I'm just going to enter 2 here to start, which is always a good speed to start with SmoothLerp. Now we've got a value which will smoothly go between 0.183 and 0.5. We now need to plug this into the position of the lid. Let's go ahead and get that sorted. I'm going to grab the lid here. I'm going to turn to the right here, hit secondary, and that gets us a slot interface card. So what I did was I grabbed lid and I pushed secondary. Now I need to connect this value to the y value position, and I can't do that right now because this value is a single float as evidenced by the single solid unbroken cyan line here, and this is 3 cyan lines together. There's a node to do this, which will help. It's in operators. We're going to go back to the top and go to operators. Pack XYZ. We're going to spawn pack XYZ in the world, and this gives us 3 floats into a ribboned float of 3. So we need to connect the output of SmoothLerp to the y of pack XYZ. It's in order X, Y, Z, so X, Y, Z. So we need to connect to the middle one. And then we connect the output of pack XYZ to the position. And with that, we're actually done. It's going to open. There you go. So it opens up and it shuts. I'm going to move that lid down, the button down just a little bit because I noticed when it was open, actually let's go ahead and open it. It'll be easier to move it there. That it was a little bit off the surface of the object. I didn't really want that. That looks a bit better. There we go. So that's the LogiX done. We're going to go ahead and pack this LogiX now, and I'll show you how to do that. We're going to go into the walls parent. I'm actually going to rename this now because we can rename this to just rename this to chest. There we go. Now at the top here, chest, I'm going to hit star, which will create chest child, and I'm going to rename this to chest-LogiX. The reason I'm doing this is so that you don't have a bunch of slots in your world named LogiX and you won't know what you're looking at later. Chest-LogiX lets me know it's the LogiX for the chest. I'm going to swap back to my LogiX tool here, and I'm going to grab chest-LogiX with my LogiX tool here, and you'll see it says chest-logic above me. I'm going to go ahead and hit set packing route here. And now you'll see it says chest-logic in pink. I'm going to turn to the right here and aim at any white space of a node, not an interface card. Remember, these are interface cards, a node, and none of the ribbons, just any of the white area, and hit secondary. This circle will go round the LogiX node, round the LogiX tip, and when it completes, I can let go, and the LogiX will disappear. You'll see that it still works, though. I can still open and close it. Oops. Oh, I need to be quicker there. If I touch it again, it will close. There we go. You can actually fix that using a slightly different approach. You might want to use a button to do that, though, rather than a touch toggle, as the touch toggle doesn't natively have any bouncing on it. There we go. Now, the last thing to do is to make it store things. We wanted to have objects stored inside it. Let's do that. We're going to be using a grabbable receiver surface to do that. And what we need to do there is select the base. Scroll to the bottom here and go to attach component. Now I do have a video on grabbable receiver surface, so I'll link that one as well. Lots of videos linked here. I've done a lot of videos on all of the components in isolation, and now I'm linking them all together to make actual objects. So I hope you're enjoying this. If we go to transform, interaction, and then grabbable receiver surface here. With grabbable receiver surface checked, the default settings are actually good, but what we need to do here is select parent placed. And we're actually done now. So what I'm going to do, we need to add one more thing. If we select the object here, open it back in the inspector, head up to the top here, go to chest. We just need to add a grabbable to it. So transform, interaction, grabbable. Now we can move it, you see. So I'm going to go ahead, de-equip my tools, rearrange my tool shelf just a little bit so it's a bit smaller. And now I can grab, shake around my chest. I can open and close it. But most importantly, I can come over here, open it up, grab my cheese, put it inside there, close it up, and then take it with me on my journey. So there you go, that's making this chest. I'm going to put this chest inside my public folder. You'll find it in, actually let's go ahead and figure out where I'm going to put it right now. Probably public ProbablePrime, tutorials, objects, and we'll just chuck it in there. So tutorials, objects. Let me turn on my private folder, UI so you can see that. So I'm going to stick it in public ProbablePrime, tutorials, objects, and you can spawn that out and take a look at it. There you go. I hope that's been useful. Do let me know if you have any questions in the comments section, and I'll get back to you soon with another video. Bye-bye.